Okay, so today, guys, I am back with another episode of Punt or No Punt, and I am unbelievably excited to be able to bring you the Wakko, one of my very favorite content creators and poker players. Wakko, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How are you?
Good, I'm good. How are you, Isti?
Very well, thank you. I think this is pretty much as good as it's going to get for Punt or No Punt.
I've tried my best. Yes.
You've tried your best, and you've delved into the vault as well. You've told me there's a hand from quite a while ago that I might enjoy.
Exactly. You told me about Punt or No Punt, and I had a flashback of like a hand that I played a couple years ago. I figured, that must be in here.
Perfect. Right. Well, if you don't know who the Wakko is, then he is a fantastic and entertaining Twitch streamer. Also has a YouTube channel under the banner of Poker Ambition. If you want to talk to us a little bit about Poker Ambition before we get started, Wakko.
Yeah. So Poker Ambition, I think, started 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. Basically, I grinded my way up to high stakes, and I wanted kind of a new challenge, and that was to try to see if I could educate other poker players to get to high stakes as well. So we created like a sort of CFP program, done that for like, I think 2 years, 1.5 year. And then I was kind of like, okay, done this. It worked very well. What's the new challenge? And now we're kind of branding out with Poker Ambition with multiple products. We have our Mechanics of Poker, we have masterclasses, and we actually now recently launched our Academy, which is like a webinar type of coaching service where you get weekly webinars. I think very interesting for players who play maybe like 200 an hour or lower, while the other products are a bit more high end. That's kind of our place in the market.
Cool, man. Well, I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and I thoroughly recommend it. Obviously, Wakko is a fantastic player. Contrary to what today might show, perhaps, Wakko.
We'll see. We'll see. That depends on your verdict.
Yeah, absolutely. And people love that. So basically, guys, we're playing Punt or No Punt. Let's run over the rules quickly for Wakko's benefit before we begin. Today we're playing Punt or No Punt. I asked people to bring on 5 hands. Wakko said, nope, you're having 7. So that's what we've got today. It's going to be 7 hands, and we are going to have each hand decided by me, whether it's a punt or no punt. By the end, we'll have a winner, obviously, because we have an odd number of hands. Either Wakko is an absolute punter, which I'm sure we're all hopeful for, or he comes out victorious. Not a lot of people win on this show, Wakko, because they bring a lot of ammunition, and I'm sure that you'll be no different. But who knows? You might bring some stuff out. A disclaimer, guys. Obviously, the Wakko is a phenomenal player and quite a significant margin better than me, and I will be allowing him to do a lot of the explaining, but at the end of the day, I need to come to a decision in the hand itself. Right, last thing before we get into hand number 1. I have not seen any of these hands before. You sent them to me yesterday. Are you comfortable? Are you happy that I have not seen these hands before we start?
Yes, I'm very confident that you are giving your word.
Trustworthy. Okay, good.
Yes, very trustworthy person.
Right.
You look like.
Thank you. Right, so without any further ado, Wakko, are you ready? We're about to play Punt or No Punt.
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's go. So on the first hand, we've got King Jack Offsuit. We're playing 3-handed on what looks like PokerStars regular tables. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And we are seeing a fold from the button, and we raise the 3 big blinds from the small blind, which looks fantastic. And the big blind calls. So blind versus blind.
No punt.
So far I'm okay. 7 Jack 9 2 diamonds, and we have the King of Diamonds. Any notes on your how you want your range to play this board on this texture?
I'm not gonna see bet all too often, and especially deeper out of position, you want to basically bet sort of, I guess, just potential type of hands. So like a King Jack with a diamond is a way better bet than Ace Jack without a diamond, for example. I would check Ace Jack and bet King Jack, bet right. Jack Queen.
Okay, so we'll be betting then, which is
we'll definitely be betting. I will not be using big sizings. I think on a texture like this, you should just start by betting small because the board can change quite often.
So these are not the kind of things that I'm going to dispute, guys. Bet sizes in single raise pots, that's all the Wakko. We get raised in position here. Now, I imagine when you choose a small sizing, your opponent's going to have obviously a lot more raises than he might do if you choose a larger one. How are you expecting him to construct this raising range?
I expect this raising range to be a bit more polarized. So let's say he has a hand like 9-10, 9-8. I don't expect him to raise. Same with a hand like Ace-10. Maybe like at some point, you know, when he has Queen-10 of diamonds or something, that becomes a draw that's just so good in equity that he decides to raise. But I expect more like good hands. And then I mean like a straight top 2 pair. Or maybe if he wants to get funky, like Jack-10 with the 10 of diamonds could probably be a raise at some frequency. And then I expect his bluffs mainly to be ace-5 with the ace of diamonds, ace-4 with the ace of diamonds, these type of bluffs. I think in general, ace-8 or something is more likely to call. So a bit more of a polarized range.
Yeah. So this is something that, you know, people might pick up on already, and something I'm certainly pick up already, because in my games, you know, never ever ace X with the ace of diamonds, you know, X offsuit, because people just generally will have strong hands and then strong draws, not like, you know, just the bare ace of diamonds here. Can you talk a little bit about why ace X of diamonds, or just the bare ace of diamonds, makes a good bluff here in position?
I mean, in general, you have like the best future bluff, because if a diamond rolls off, I cannot have the nuts. So that's obviously one. Also, I think a big mistake that people make, yes, I would also prefer to raise, I think ace-8 with the ace of diamonds, for example, I would also prefer to raise. That is a better hand. But you always have to compare the EV of calling with the EV of raising. And the EV of calling with ace-5 isn't that high, whereas the EV of calling with ace-8 is way higher. So what usually then people do is, when they only look at how strong is my hand to bet or to raise, they just look only at the EV of that particular line. They're not comparing the EVs between all lines. So then they end up putting all their strong hands in their betting line, or all their strong hands in their raising line, and then their other line becomes quite weak. Yeah. So this is a general leak on lower stakes, that certain lines just become way too value heavy.
One of the many leaks.
Driven, and other hands become other lines become very weak.
I think that's a really good point, well made.
And also in terms of, let's say you have ace-8 here, and you raise and I re-raise. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Whereas ace-5 is like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah. Right. So I imagine we're only playing calls here. Seems fair.
Yes, and then actually you can throw away the argument of ace-8 not wanting to be re-raised. I do think we need some re-raises. I'm not really sure what that's gonna be. Let's say if I bet at a hand like 9-8 with the 8 of diamonds or something, maybe something like that could be a bluff.
You ever 3-betting like 10-8 of hearts here?
No, yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure what the correct 3-betting strategy here is.
Okay. Anyway, we see a turn, which is a very interesting turn. Obviously, we're only checking. Little donkey donk.
Donkey donk.
Yeah, so
for the people who don't know me, I like to find donkey donk.
Yeah, obviously we're only checking, guys. If you were wondering whether I'd seen these hands before, obviously not. And what a ridiculous thing to say when you've got the donkey donk master himself, the Wakko, on the show.
You never know, man. You never know.
So this might run quite a long time, guys, but I think it's really, really interesting, because this might not be something that at least obviously have no experience with. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you think that this makes sense?
So in terms of dunking and taking the betting lead in general, let's say, for example, you're in position as an initial raiser and it's checked to you. You do a lot of betting because you have a certain equity advantage, right? In most cases. Dunking happens when the equities kind of shift. So as I stated, I thought his raising range was a bit more polar, and I don't think he will have hand like 9-10, 9-8, a lot of naked flush draws, king, queen, queen 8. I think these are hands that are mainly calling, and I think these are hands that I can definitely see bet and then call a raise with. So I thought in general that the 10 is just a way better card for me than for him, and therefore I decided to lead out. It's basically as simple as that.
Seems fair to me. So we do lead out, and Fender doesn't give a shit. He just raises again.
Exactly, and this is, you know, for the people who are like, yeah, I'm not gonna get into this. It can get complicated. Room for error increases on later streets. I completely agree. I think it's something that, you know, more like, I'm a creative player. This is also what brings me joy to the game. So sometimes these kind of stuff brings me in tough spots or in annoying situations. But if I would just not do it, I don't feel as engaged in playing, and I don't like playing as much. So yeah, it's just my trigger towards poker that I always try to find a way. And sometimes I'll make a genius play, you know, where the solver finds 8% donks and I find it, for example. But also, more often not, I think I see a nice donkey and the solver says no donkey. You know? That happens. If you in general, if you're trying to play a genius line, sometimes you'll make a punt. So that's why I think this series suits me well.
Yes, I mean, I'm a big fan of like keeping keeping the game. It's a game, and we want to enjoy it at the end of the day, right? So you
Yeah.
want to do what brings you enjoyment. And if Donkey brings you enjoyment, Wakko, you should fucking Donkey.
Brings me enjoyment. Yeah.
So he raises in position now. I think based on what you said on the flop, do you think he would raise like ace, that bare ace of diamonds again here, using his, strong blockers to the nut flush? And would that be his main bluff? And along with, obviously, he's going to have some flushes. What do you think?
Yeah, so that maybe, and like I said, I think he could definitely have some strong flushes. He could have, for example, a straight flush, maybe 9-8 of diamonds. That's an option. Queen 8 of diamonds. He could, I guess, have like ace 8 of diamonds. Or in general, an ace X of diamonds. Basically, he's wrapping flushes. I don't mind. Let's say he has a hand like pocket 7s. He could raise that, I guess, a set. I think that is fine. Like, yes, obviously, sometimes he's beat, but he's always drawing towards something that's live. And I don't think, again, he expects me to re-raise that often right now.
Fair enough. And again, I mean, I'm going to be very careful making assumptions about your play, but I imagine we're calling only. I don't see how we can do anything else.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because like, yeah. I mean, you could make an argument that, his bluffs have equity. Usually in spots where you want to re-raise is where the bluff contains a lot of equity. So let's say he has ace 5 with the ace of diamonds. You could say like, okay, that has, still, it still has an over, it still has an out. If we can make that full, that's an okay result. But here, I just don't think, like, sometimes we get it in that versus the nut flush, which is not good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I guess re-raising would be interesting the more 2 pairs he starts to raise here. Then we can actually get some better hands to fold.
Yeah.
But I think calling is usually just the way to go.
Yeah. Not something that I would consider trying to get someone to fold 2 pair that raised here in position. It's just not a thing that I would see. So, super interesting river. Wow. Okay. And we are, I don't know, we might donkey donk. Who knows? So we donkey donk again.
You learned.
Yeah, as a block. Yeah, guys, you might notice that I'm going to struggle to know what the hell's going on here. But we go for another block. Why?
Again, like I said, if I think that he's still sometimes raising a 2-pair type of hand or a set on the turn, he has an easy check back.
Yeah.
If he did raise, let's say he did raise a hand like a bear 8. So let's say he did have ace 8 with the ace of diamonds. Okay, he will probably be checking that behind now. Whereas if I donk, he will be forced to call.
Yeah.
So again, I think the queen, again, it's an improving card for me. I mean, obviously, still, I think he has now the advantage in flushes, just given the way I played my hand.
Yeah.
But I do think the queen does bring, again, some improvability to my range with the king.
Absolutely.
So therefore,
well, you have
again,
ace king and he doesn't,
lead up.
right? So you have ace king and he can't have ace king. So
yeah, exactly.
So,
but then just mainly, I think in the king queens, king jacks.
Sure.
So basically, what you're doing when you're doing a lot of donking, you're kind of preventing your opponent to pot control, and you're preventing your opponent to play quote perfect. If you check to him, he can play a quote. If he can play a perfect polarized strategy.
I mean, I said that you can have ace king here, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
No,
you
I think ace king. It would be one of the first hands actually that I would be checking, because on the flop, his main folds are going to be king x and ace x. So if you have ace king, your fold equity is significantly reduced.
Yes, I'm just trying not to rule anything out because
No, listen. For the rest of the hands, don't rule anything out, man.
If anyone's going to have ace king, it's going to be you. That's what I'll say. But yeah,
very fair point.
Anyway, I'm imagining that because we're on punt or no punt, Mr. Fender's going to find another raise, and he is all in. So this guy is the sickest man of all time if he's running ace x with just a bare diamond as a bluff. Obviously, at my stakes, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, well, this is like just never a bluff. I mean, this hand just never happens, right? At my stakes, but
no, that is the first thing. This hand just never happens. That's one. That's one.
Yeah. What do you like about your hand as a call?
I mean, we have the king of diamonds, which I guess could reduce, like king 8 of diamonds is a hand that he could raise. Maybe he raises king 9 of diamonds. I don't know. But I think the most important thing in these kind of situations is you try to figure out what your opponent is wrapping for value, try to block that. So we have the king of diamonds, and then usually try to figure out, okay, what could be a good bluff for my opponent, and try to not have that. So that's the ace of diamonds. So I would much rather call here with king jack than with ace king with the ace of diamonds, for example, if I can decide to call. Obviously, like from a blocker perspective, that's the case, but the main question we always have to ask ourselves is the guy capable of throwing his stack in with a bluff?
And is he?
I do have to say he's Russian. Can we give country reads?
I don't know. Like, I try not to, I don't think too much about that. But if you're gonna, I mean, Russian, Brazilian, right, are the main two that are gonna find it here.
Yeah,
right?
Russians, you know.
So I imagine because we're on punt or no punt, Wakko, you're gonna flick this in. Now I have to decide whether this is a punt or not. I actually don't have like. I think because of the stakes we're at, we have to be able to call something, and I think, like, as you said, not having the ace of diamonds is really good. You know, we have obviously a straight. We do block, I guess, some of his hands that would want to do this for value with the king of diamonds.
What is his value range?
Well, he's gonna have, like, I imagine some like king x of diamonds, a bunch that we block. He's gonna have nut flushes for sure. I mean, he would 3-bet quite a lot of them pre-flop, I imagine, but like ace 8 of diamonds, I don't think, you know, would ever.
Yeah, ace 6, ace 2,
so,
ace 3.
Yeah. So it's not like he doesn't have
these
a
are
bunch.
like what, 6 combos?
Yeah. And he's also supposed to 3-bet some of those small ace
like
X
an ace 5
offsuits.
suited, an ace 4 suited.
So
ace 10. So yeah, ace 9 suited, but like I said, I think that could also sometimes call. So I think if you look at value, he's maybe wrapping some nut flushes and then some combo draws on the flop. So that's maybe what, 12?
Yeah.
And then we get 28%.
Yeah.
Find a bluff.
Yeah. Well, you gave yourself 28% by donking the river, right? So
listen, this is the secret. Create your own products.
Right. I am actually. Okay, let's just flick the money in. I am going to go with no punt.
Oh, unbelievable!
Because
what a score!
I'm just such a big fan in general of the hand. Donk line. Just, you know, I'm to be honest with you, just sort of guessing at this point because I can't really. My mind's all over the place. I'm okay with constructing ranges, but not when I have no idea what certain ranges look like. But I just think that if we're going to bet fold this, I think we just like. I think we're probably just overfolding. I imagine. Like, I'm not sure what flush is exactly going to play like this, but as you said, king of diamonds is the best straight to have, and not having the ace of diamonds seems pretty good. Up against a capable opponent, I'm going to go with no punt to kick it off, because I have a feeling like I don't want you to go like 0-7, and if you go like, you know, 1-6, then that's fine. But I think no punt. Do you think that's fair, or do you think this is just like a complete joke of a hand?
No, I actually, like I said, maybe you have to be careful. I'm quite a persuasive explainer.
Yeah, it's true.
And my reasonings can be quite. I manage to persuade people quite well. So maybe I should try to persuade you a little bit less. But yeah, listen, I'm just giving you my reasonings.
No.
Then obviously, if we talk to Fender, he can be, here's the Wakko again, punting his stack up. Obviously, I have the nuts.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, we will. Yeah. Obviously, we will never have the truth.
Yeah, decision's been made.
But I don't think it's that punty.
No,
in terms of my line, like I didn't call here with 2 pairs.
No, that would have to give you a score of punt for that. Exactly.
So I do think the king of diamonds has a lot of merit.
I imagine he has the nuts, or the nut blocker only.
That's his range. Yes.
Yeah. So he has the nuts, which is unfortunate for us. And yeah, I imagine we would have found a way on the river not to lose all our money if it hadn't have been a queen. But hey ho, it was a queen. But the thing is, Wakko, it doesn't matter that you lost $1,000. It matters that you're winning 1-0.
Listen, this hand is a win for me.
Yeah. So that was hand number 1. I think you guys can tell this is going to be a pretty interesting episode. We're going to move on to hand number 2 with the Wakko up 1-0. Let's go. Okay, hand number 2, guys, with the Wakko up 1-0. I imagine controversially. Got Davy Jones on our left here, Wakko. Looks like he's putting it in the muck, though. And now I'm going to get these players I don't know. We have a rather good hand four-handed. And actually, if you want to just mention something, because I watch your stream obviously a lot, and your highlights, big fan. You like playing four-handed, don't you?
3-handed, definitely preference. 3-handed, then 4-handed, then 6-handed, then 5-handed.
Yeah.
That order.
I'm not going to go into why that is, but I just wanted to note that you're pretty comfortable playing 3- and 4-handed. Is my point.
No, yeah, I played it a lot I think I played over 100,000 hands, 3-4-handed.
Cool. We're at 500 NL, by the way, here, guys. Not 1,000 NL. Wakko mix up. We have a 2K hand today, don't we, as well? Which will be fun. We have a 3-bet, which we do, and you know, I think this is a 12 big blinds. It's quite big. Is that standard?
That's my standard, I would say. 2.5 to 12 from the big blind. From the small one, they go a little bit smaller, but big blind definitely bigger.
I spoke about
this. Even have some guys that even go bigger.
Yeah, I spoke about this with the difference between sizing big blind and small blind with Peter Clark when I had him on. And that blew my mind, and then I started doing it. So great. I learned things from this. I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to learn today with the old donkey donks, but anyway, we get 4-bet. I mean, I'm just like imagining that we're calling, because otherwise you just go all in, right? And that's just really boring. So
I mean, yeah.
Do you not just like talk to me about how often you're just shoving here, and is this like a really low percentage flat?
I think I flat this a bit too often.
Okay.
As in terms of a leak, again, going away for me is not so fun. But I do think it's usually best. I think the main correction in my thought process here, because if you look at 4-bet bluffs, it's a lot of in these positions you're gonna include like ace jack off, king queen off, ace queen off.
Sure.
Very very much weighted towards these type of hands. And obviously, if you have ace king off, you are dominating them quite hardly. And basically, ace king off, there's no flop yet that you basically have to fold. So I don't mind calling, especially given his 4-bet sizing. It went a little bit. Let's say you went to 140 or something.
Easier.
Then I would probably just jam. So basically, the bigger he goes, the more I decide to jam.
You get price on a call, don't you?
But yeah, mainly you dominate. Let's say, for example, his 4-bet range would conclude of a lot of 10-9 suited, 8-9 suited. Then I would just jam.
Right.
But I think his 4-bet range, bottom versus big blinds, is quite dominating. Yeah. So therefore, I like calling ace king off.
Do we have any notes on this guy before we move to flop? Or like
not ones that I want to share.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Just like in general what he's like or anything. I would say like it's quite funny because you're calling here, and the difference is a lot of people at my stakes, they just want to shove here because playing this situation is so difficult, whereas obviously you're really comfortable playing this kind of situation.
Exactly.
We're just like so thankful that we get to jam, that we don't have to play a flop. Let's anyway.
No, but yeah, I don't know. And this is just like, I see quite a lot of good things happening, and you probably don't see quite a lot of good things happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore I call, and therefore you jam.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So
exactly. Let's see a flop though.
But I do have to say, jamming, obviously, listen, it's plus EV. Calling in certain situations, also for certain players, might make you a little bit more, but yeah, it will also give you headaches. And like I said, room for error again increases. So this might also be, let's say, for example, I'm in a session where I'm not really feeling like I'm playing well. I might just jam a bit more often.
Cool.
Because I feel like the way I'm playing at that moment might not give me the edge in calling. So then I try to avoid making bigger mistakes by just choosing a plus fee line.
Sure. Let's see a flop. Deuce 9-10. I know you said obviously ace king doesn't have to fold very often on the flop, and it won't be doing so here either.
No, yeah. If it makes a hand, I mean, obviously you don't have to fold, and if it doesn't make a hand, you block his main value.
This is the most nerve-wracking. This next button here is the most nerve-wracking button I press. When you're on the action and you're out of position, I just don't know what's going to happen. It could be anything. I hope for a check, so I actually know what's going on.
Open jam.
And yeah, the quarter pot is what I was expecting to see. And yeah, just calling.
Well, we'll see.
Fine.
Just calling.
I think,
like I said, I mean, if you're calling pre-flop, also to keep like some dominated hands in. I guess if you check raise now, you have to get it in.
Yeah, you're pretty much just gonna get him to get it in with fold all his rubbish and get it in with all his good hands. So we don't want that.
So I think just check calling is the way to go.
4 of diamonds, interesting. Brings the backdoor flush draw if there was one, and we have that ace of diamonds. Is that relevant at all? Are you thinking about that?
In this case, I guess it is, because it reduces some of his bluffs. So I'm happier without a diamond to call another bet than with.
Cool. We check
in spots where villain has few combos in general. You usually don't want to block his bluffs in terms of flush. Whereas, for example, in a single raise spot, you often want to call the one with the diamond. That if you improve your hand, it's not going to be a flush over flush scenario. But here that doesn't really matter.
So we're talking about like ace 5 of diamonds, which is going to bluff here. That you know, we now remove.
Yeah, actually, we now block.
Yeah.
Or like ace7 or ace8.
So he goes for 120. Interesting sizing. Going to leave him with like 40% pot on the river. How do you feel against this sizing? Obviously, you're talking about the ace of diamonds not being ideal. What makes you want to proceed? Obviously, the price you're getting is great. Talk to me about how you're feeling here.
This is actually also I think this is just a GTO sizing given the texture.
Yeah.
Let's say if the terminal is a 7, I might imagine we do a bit more jamming because there's more connectivity. But I think on a 4, especially Rainbow 4, we don't bet much bigger than this. I do think actually in practice people tend to be a bit too greedy now and jam jacks and queens a bit more often.
Yeah.
So basically his main value, you could say in practice, is weighted now a bit more towards aces and kings, which we're blocking, and he can still have king, queen, for example. So and like you said, we're getting a great price. So I don't see us folding here.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously the range.
And let's say the river is an ace and he has king, queen. He's probably ripping it in. So we have quite good implied odds as well.
Yeah. Obviously the ranges in these spots, guys, are going to be a lot wider than we would expect in our games. If the games you're playing are similar to mine. So we're a lot less concerned about this, but just being always over pairs. Obviously, as Wakko said, we're going to see some king queens and stuff. Maybe some ace jacks or something like that. Ace
or like indeed like some an ace 8 of hearts or something.
Yeah, sure. We call. Yeah. So now having the ace of diamonds shifts, I guess, to being a good card, or not really.
In terms of it's reduced the amount of times that he has a nut flush.
So okay, right. So this is why, like, I was expecting a check, guys, because again I forgot who we had on. Obviously we're shoving. Like, this is so sick because he's getting a 3.5 to 1 on a call. And what are you targeting to fold here, giving that price? Like jacks?
Yeah, jacks, king 10, ace 10 type of holdings. If you had that at certain frequency, maybe you 4-bet hand like king 10 suited in these positions sometimes, maybe ace 10 off sometimes.
This is so crazy.
A river at queen, so let's say he has king queen.
Right.
Because we were the main hand that we were beating on the turn was king queen, right? Maybe queen 8 suited or something.
Right.
And also don't forget, let's say he has ace king with the king of diamonds. If we check, he goes all in. We're gonna call. I don't know. It's quite a funky call because we chop versus some bluff. So it's also some. Listen, in these kind of scenarios, if both have a lot of ace king, it's whoever puts the money in last, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to be the one that didn't want to get bluffed. Basically. So I mean, I think he's gonna call with queens, which is only 3 combos. Aces, kings, also only 3 and 3 combos, so 9 combos. He doesn't really have a nut flush.
Do you have how many nut flushes do you have?
Let's just actually talk about normal flushes because it doesn't really matter if you nut flush or no. But like, let's say he has king 7 of diamonds, I guess, or king 8 of diamonds. That I guess could be a bluff. I guess we can have king 10 of diamonds. We can have 10 jack of diamonds. We can have 9 8 of diamonds. We can have 10 jack of diamonds. We can have ace 10 of diamonds. We can have ace jack of diamonds.
And you're never going to check shuffle turn with those.
So queen jack of diamonds or something, I would definitely check jam turn. King jack of diamonds as well, but not with a 10x of diamonds or 9x of diamonds. Sure.
Right, so you have a bunch
ace jack of diamonds also no. But in this kind of scenarios, it's also like, okay, tell me a bluff from my shoes. If ace king, we already want to jam quite often pre.
Yeah.
Ace queen just made a pair. King queen just made a pair. Are we turning a hand like a 10x into a bluff? I don't think so, because we can just check call versus ace king.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a spot where I don't think people show up with bluffs. And
you're always going to shove a flush here when you hit a flush, right? You're never going to let him check back.
Exactly. Jacks. I also think actually it's actually this is kind of opponent dependent, I would say. Versus some opponents who I think are just a bit nittier, I will get greedy here and front jam strong hands as well. But I don't think it's a card that he should. I mean, if he has aces and kings, he should still just go with his hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think people should be doing a lot of pot controlling here. So therefore, I'm not gonna be doing a lot of donking for value.
Oh,
Okay.
this is so difficult.
Good
'cause
read.
I'm just so I have to choose. I have to decide. I can't put his money in and show you his hand before I decide what if this is a punt or not. And I just have no idea. I like having the ace of diamonds because obviously you said he would barrel, you know, ace whatever x of diamonds on the turn, and then now he would have a flush obviously that he can't have. He's not really going to have too many other flushes. Obviously we're, you know, obviously going to get looked up by those 3 big pairs, obviously tens. That's just fine. But yeah,
and
like,
I don't think tens actually bottom versus big blind. I don't think 4 bets all that often.
Yeah, okay.
So let's give him
a few tens. So like, yeah, I don't, because I have to put myself into a situation where like I'm pretty much learning a new game, right? I don't know. This doesn't ever happen. I don't know. You know, I have to make a decision. Like you said in the last hand, you're very persuasive.
Is this going to work 1 out of 4 times?
Yeah.
That's the question. When he has 10 auto calls, basically.
Can he even fold jacks with a diamond for this price? Do you know what, Wakko? Look, I can't.
I assume so.
I can't let you talk me into this one. I can't. I'm gonna have to go with punt because, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I have to go with punt. I'm a huge admirer of what's going on here, but we're asking someone to fold like a pretty strong range. Like, he's never folding. He just has to go, okay, well, like, it's the, and also it's the Wakko. Like, I'm just not fucking folding.
Versus the Wakko.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, that seems harsh, but I just think this is a bit on the optimistic side. I think I would think this is more of a punt than last hand, and considering I was on the fence with that one, I'm going to go with punt for this one. Do you think that's fair?
Fair.
Yeah. He calls, which he's going to do, I imagine, a lot. and
I hope not more than 1 out. How much? 1 out of 4 times.
Well, who knows? Like, you know,
3 out of 4 times.
Yeah. And that's gonna call. That's gonna call. Unlucky, we ran into the absolute top of it, but obviously another. I mean, guys, we're talking about making this a 2-part because we're talking so long about this because I'm trying to fucking figure out what's going on here, and you know, Wakko's trying to talk me into giving him no punts so he can win the series. This one didn't work.
Did anyone ever win?
Yes. But then if you ever win, people in the comments will be like, boo, he brought on such easy hands. Like, he knew he was going to win. Like, because basically at the end of the day, you decide what. I think I won, actually. So that's not a good look. Anyway, let's move on to hand number 3, if you're ready. And it's now 1-1. So in hand number 3, guys, we've got the 7 deuce. Now, if you don't know, Wakko is a pretty big fan of 7 deuce. He had a challenge, didn't you? Whether you could win a certain amount of big blinds with 7 deuce on your stream.
Yeah, I tried to challenge the streaming community to do a challenge with me. Whoever we would play 100 hands of 7 deuce, then whoever made the most money would have to buy the other person a Dolce & Gabbana pyjama, which was then again for limitless his 7 deuce in the very high stakes games.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, no one took me on. So then I said, okay, I will play 100 hands 7 deuce, and if I make a profit, then I'll get the Dolce & Gabbana pyjama and then I'll give it to the stream in some kind of giveaway. We were the 100th hand.
I remember. I was watching.
We were still break even. Then I see betted the 3-bet pot. The guy raised, and
I remember.
That would have been a big punt if I would have played with that. So if he would have just folded to the c-bet, which he was gonna do, at least I think 25% of the time, we would have won. Unbelievable.
So
100
sick,
hand 7
man.
deuce.
So sick. And you know, I'd just like to say that, I mean, probably some guys that watch my channel would know, but there was a time where you raided me and then I took 7 deuce to the streets.
Made a good bluff, man.
Yeah. And also my friend also took 7 deuce to the 200L streets as well. So you've had a huge impact on the channel.
Nice.
And we won all of those hands as well, by the way. So we're doing really well for 7 deuce. So with the background of 7 deuce out of the way, Wakko, we're playing heads up and we've got 7 deuce. Why not?
It's a
22.
Is this even a standard open heads up? Probably, right? Suited hand.
If you're gonna ask me about heads up questions, you're gonna. I mean,
listen. I don't know, but I imagine that a suited hand heads up on the button isn't open. That's what I would say. I'm
just thankful that we have 7 deuce, so this shouldn't be too hard of a hand for me to try and, because I have no heads up is like pretty much probably the worst part of my game. Oh god. So we're 1k and now we're heads up and we get 3-bet. Is that massive or am I just like?
No, 2.2 to 10. Nah,
okay.
It's okay.
Okay, cool. It just looks massive because it's $100 fucking. So I imagine we're peeling a 3-bet, and now we're in the realms of, you know, yeah. But
it's quite punty, but
Yeah.
yes, we're calling a 3-bet.
if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna call a 3-bet ever, I guess it's gonna be heads up in position. I guess. I mean,
I've called 3-bets in 6 max with 7 suited as well.
Yeah.
I've
But-
also made 4 bets, made everything.
But maybe let's not try this at home. I would say
That's probably
we flopped a
Probably
flush
safe.
draw.
amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you call it 7 deuce, I mean, you're pretty much hoping for a couple diamonds or 7-7 deuce, right? So he goes for a bet, and again,
Big
guys,
one, actually.
I'm not trying to you know, assume anything, but I imagine we just have a very easy call. I can't see any reason to raise. We just gonna get it in, dominated a bunch as well, and we have a flush draw. Can't fold, so call. Anything to say?
No, perfect reasoning.
Okay. The turn. Okay, now I might need some help. So we may, I guess, because calling here is super ugly. We're not getting like a fantastic price on a call. He's bet quite large. Do you think this may be a time to turn your little 7 Dewey into a bluff? As in jamming? Or do you think we just have a call?
I think it would be quite punty to jam it in right now.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I would much rather jam a hand like 8-7 suited than 7 suited, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Fine. I mean, look, I think
I mean, he bets quite big, eh?
Mhm,
You
yeah,
could
exactly.
even make an argument to just fold your shitty flush draw.
Mhm.
I would say
Yeah.
big on the flop, big on the turn, not so much money left behind.
yeah, I agree.
I'm not really sure. I probably in the solver we would never fold a flush draw, but
Yeah, like I'm pretty out of whack heads up, but like I can't imagine calling being awful, and like you said, I can imagine jamming being pretty bad. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't know because you know you might have a strategy with 7 with 7 deuce. So,
the 7 deuce randomizer.
oh god. So now we need to think about what we actually called flop and turn with, and now wants to shove. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Or in terms of the hands that we're now jamming.
Yeah, for value, like what do we have?
I mean, we're probably just jamming all our busted flush draws.
Mhm.
I would imagine we're also turning something into a bluff. Let's say we called, he went quite big in the flop. So let's say we did have the 8-7 suited or something.
Bluff
I
that.
think we should probably turn it into bluff on a jack, as he can have river. It's jack 10, jack 9, ace jack. And it's just, we don't have that much bluffs anymore now on the river. Ace 10 completes, 9-10 suited completes. A lot of our flushes are queen high, jack high. So I would say we just bluff 8-7 and lower and just value bet. I would say 2 pair plus.
Yeah.
King 10 is a bit dicey.
You said you're going to bluff all of your flush draws. Like obviously that, like having flush draws, you know, at least in a 6 max, from my experience, is bad because you want him to have flush draws.
Yeah,
right?
but that I don't think that really applies here, because if you're not gonna, basically, if you arrive with a lot of hands on the river that you can choose from to bluff, then having the flush draw is obviously not great because you're blocking folds.
You don't.
But here, I mean, I literally cannot think of another bluff than a flush draw. That's
apart from 8-7.
quite natural, right?
Yeah, I agree. That's very good reasoning. I just wanted to clarify that. By the way, guys, we're called Calaboca here because we are. Is it Calaboca? Because we're on 8-8.
Yeah, Calaboca.
Yeah.
And for example, for the out position player, I do think that is sort of, let's say, for example, the out position can have maybe, I don't know, 6-7 diamonds or something that he can bluff with. So he would much rather, and you know, this is our folding range, so he would not want to be bluffing a flush draw.
Yeah.
He would much rather bluff his 5x on the river, for example, if he decided to barrel that on the turn. Let's say a 5-4, ace-5 or something.
Absolutely. So, I mean, look, once we get here, obviously we have to shove. Like this, we can't check. That would be absolutely ridiculous. So we do shove. It would be nice to get a fold. That would be great.
That would be great. In general, I think the bet check line from out of positions as well, actually, in theory as in practice, are usually you get good fold equity.
Yeah. And obviously we have 7 high, so like, what are you going to do, right? So what I'm not going to put the money in yet, so I need to decide. What this boils down to is, I actually think post flop is totally fine. The problem is, Wakko, we called a 3-bet 7 deuce. So I think this has to go into the avoidable category, although we played it fine post. And I don't think there's actually probably any other way you want to play this post flop if you look at it. We probably didn't need to call with the 7 deuce. Would you think that's fair? Pre-flop?
I would say it's definitely again in the category. Don't try this at home. Yes.
So we're going to go with punt, but like we know this is a punt. I asked Wakko for some donkey donks and some 7 deuce, and lo and behold, he delivered in spades. Can we get it through? No, that sucks. How light did we get looked? Okay, so not light at all.
No, yeah, it's a snap call basically.
Yeah, and he, it's a pretty interesting check on the river. I guess he just wants to let you do this because he doesn't have a diamond himself.
Yeah, I think if he had a diamond, he should probably focus on betting himself. I mean, he blocks our main hero calls with terms. I mean, when the jack completes on the river, a king X is a hero call. Let's say we have king 9 suited.
Yeah.
So I think his check is fine.
Sure. Well, 2-1 down, Wakko. The 7 deuce lets you down. I feel quite harsh giving this a punt based on,
the history
and the heart and the commitment. But can I really make a serious poker channel?
Heart and commitment, the 10, the punt.
Yeah.
It is a punt.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 heart commitment, obviously. Right. 2-1 to punts, Wakko. And we have 4 hands left. Let's take hand number 4. So hand number 4, guys, with the Wakko down 1-2. And we've got ace-3 of diamonds. We're playing 500 zoom, which you play a lot of on stream, Wakko.
Yeah, especially in the beginning. Nowadays, we're playing more 1K, 2K. But in the beginning of the stream journey, we were indeed in the 500 zoom streets. But we beat at that level. So now we move up. That's how poker works, right?
Absolutely.
We actually have some academy coaches in the mix.
Ooh,
3-1 let rip, Mr. Megala Donk.
I would like to play against
tough
them.
table.
There's not. I mean, 500 zoom is always tough, right?
Yeah, true.
So we've got ace-3 of
recreational on the bottom, by the way. That's important in this hand.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Now, the only way I would ever consider calling here is if big blind was like another recreational. So I imagine we're only proceeding here with, unless that's true, only proceeding here with 3 bets. Is that right?
I mean, I did call.
Stop assuming what the Wakko's going to do. Fuck. Right. So
I mean, we are playing 150 big blinds deep. There's a recreational in the pot. It's likely going to become 4-way with a ace X suited. So it's either 3-bet or fold. I would 3-bet or call.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna fold basically. Well, and then I would prefer to have a bit of a better ace if I decide to squeeze. So like ace 5 suited, ace 9 suited.
And the reason this is so bad at my stakes is because of the rake, but whereas the rake here is not anywhere near as bad. So I guess it's fine to start like calling here. And obviously like being a little bit deeper against the button, who you're saying is poor.
Yeah. And for example, under as well, everyone is a little bit deeper. So then, having a suited ace in most likely a 4-way pot or 3-way pot, it's quite nice.
Yeah. And the only thing I'm concerned about is obviously the big blind squeezing. If he had a really high squeeze percentage, I'd like this a lot less. But it can't be bad. It can't be bad. Fuck.
You know my motto is you gotta be in it to win it, right? Oh no.
Well,
what do we do on the flop, Easy?
I have no clue. Right. Well, we check fold.
I mean, we have good. I was gonna say we're gonna try a little donkey, good anti-blockers. I don't know what.
No, I don't want to see a little donkey here. It checks through, and we see an ace. Okay. Well, I'm feeling a lot better now about this. We check again. Checks through to the initial raiser, who calls. The button calls, and I think we just have to call, although I'm not thrilled, to be honest with you, getting the price that we're getting. Right, okay. So...
expect the unexpected.
I need to stop. I just literally got finished telling myself that I need to stop doing that. So we raise here. Now we need to have a long chat about this, Mr. Wakko, because obviously initial raiser, lots of strong ace X. The only thing is, I'm actually thinking about how okay I am with this, because I mean it's not something that I would ever consider doing. And by the way, guys, I'm just riffing here, just trying to see what I think of it. What initial reactions are, how many like super good hands do we have here? We are gonna have pocket 6s and pocket 8s, I think, still, because on the ace turn, it's not really our turn to lead. We're always gonna check the flop, so we're always pretty much gonna check raise those hands, right? Is that fair? So we're always going to have 6s and 8s, pretty much 100% of the time. Any notes on whether you would raise like ace-6 or ace-8 suited here?
It's an option.
Yeah. Obviously,
I would
because
say
go ahead.
you're a bit more likely to lead, as it's less likely for someone to have an ace. So I
Sure.
would say if you have an ace, it's less likely someone will bet. Whereas if you have a set, betting percentage behind you will go up.
Can I ask if your design here is to make initial raiser fold something better and button call with something worse, or is that
would that be considered a good play?
I mean,
or a punt? Let me see. I try to score points here.
I mean, look, I think that
put yourself in the shoes. You're the initial raiser. You delayed c-bet. The recreational called.
Another thing about it that I really like is that I don't like a lot of the time if I see small blind raise here, like unless it's you, I'm gonna be like, why on earth would Wakko raise with a recreational on the button that called behind after I c-bet after I delay c-bet the ace turn? Like he's just not gonna. Why would you do that? It's just like suicide, right? But then it then becomes good because if you can get not a cat okay to fold ace jack, and Daniel to call with like, you know, king jack with no draw or something, then that's just amazing, right? So I am leaning on the side of being a fan.
All right. This is also like it is also your best blocker, because let's say I have a 6 or an 8, it becomes quite spewy, right?
Yeah.
Because then the fish will call you with, if he calls you with 10 jack, he has a shitload of equity. Whereas here now, like we're blocking ace queen, we're blocking ace 8, we're blocking ace 6, we're blocking aces. So yeah, you have basically a very good blocker. It's a little merge.
Yeah, I'm actually, I think I'm on board. I'm on well and truly on board actually.
Well, let's see what happens.
Daniel calls, which he's going to do like so often with hands that we beat. By the way, like he has so many things like not necessarily even combo draws, just like gut. Depends on how much of it like
10 jack off.
Yeah, 10 jack off. Like if he's a huge recreational, he could have just almost anything that, and he's just not going to fold it here. In terms of like anything that makes you know.
I don't think he's a huge recreational though. It's a zoom recreational.
Yeah. But we're certainly like going to have the best hand here, I think, more often than not.
Yes.
5 river, and based on the fact that we, you know, expecting to call with all those gut shots and you know jack highs, king highs, stuff like that, which made our raise on the turn really good. I actually don't like betting this river at all. I'd like rather you check and then probably just have to call, based on our reasoning, and I think we're in agreement on our reasoning on the turn that made our raise acceptable. I really would prefer to see a check because, you know, I think we want to let him bluff, and I don't think we get called by worse here. Lovely. Lovely stuff. Whew. I actually got one right, guys. And if Daniel...
I bet would be very punty here.
Yeah. And I think if Daniel bets, then we just call, and if he checks. Okay. So we were just literally looking at this turn spot.
We're sort of not happy, right, when he checks.
So I have to give the result, and I think I'm just going to go no punt straight off the bat. I think that this is like really creative, like assuming you were thinking on the terms that I was. I think my analysis was fair.
I thought exactly the same way you thought, yes.
Then I can't, in all good faith, give this as a punt. It's a no punt. It has to be a no punt. Especially if we get value and he just checks back like king jack here. I mean, he might win, by the way, but I doubt that he's checking back anything that wins. So I imagine we win. Great. We were in. I might as well just move up to 500L. Basically, I might as well just do that. Not something I'm capable of, guys. Something I'm capable of breaking down given the time. Not something I'm capable of in the moment.
These are things that, yeah. If you pay attention, these kind of spots you can suddenly find, right?
Yeah,
whereas
absolutely.
if you're just autopiloting and you think in rules, you're not going to find them that often.
Yeah. Well, Wakko, it's 2-2. And I would say...
We're going to leave it up with a cliffhanger, right?
I would say that is finally poised because we are going to take a break. We're going to go into... Well, we're going to record now. Obviously, me and Wakko have got some more time to record. But we're going to go take a break because obviously... We don't want this to go too long, and we want to break it up into, and obviously we want to talk in length about the hands because when you get someone of Wakko's ability on the show, you don't really want to, you know, race through the hands. You want to milk him for all the value he's worth, which is a lot. So we're taking a break. We're gonna end part 1 with a Wakko 2-2, and we will see you probably next week or the week after with part 2 where we find out if Wakko is able to bring home the win, or whether the punt takes it. Now, I will mention briefly, guys, that hand 7 is from the vault from many years ago, and I always ask someone to pretty much sacrifice themselves for hand number 7. So in order to win, Wakko's realistically going to need to win the next 2, but we'll leave that for next time. You never know.
Or I'm going to be very persuasive.
Oh yeah. He's going to have to.
It's like I don't do anything because I think that I don't punt consciously.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how it goes. But for now, that's going to do it, guys. Wakko, thank you so much for coming on for part 1. We're going to move into part 2. But I really appreciate your time today. And yeah, some amazing hands and some incredible analysis and thought process. I'm really learning a lot as well. And
thank you for having me on, man. I also hope your following learned something from all these hands.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they learned that they have no idea how to construct a donking range, and probably just are going to avoid it. The
boos are going to go completely bananas. Everyone is just donking all around.
I mean, if we could do that, that would be great. I'm going to start donking, and then I'm going to send you some hands and say, is this okay to donk? Anyway, we are going to wrap it up there. And I thank you very much for watching this part. We'll see you on part number 2. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you there.